Today, I'm here to talk to you about scarcity and how, if it goes unchecked in our lives, scarcity mindset and scarcity culture that we're all so surrounded by can keep us hiding in shame that keeps us from showing up in life in some of the ways and the situations that are most meaningful to us, that are most able to build feelings of the connection and belonging that we need as much as water and air. So, shining a light on scarcity culture and how it builds shame in us is going to be really important for us today, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about. Today, I'm here to talk to you about scarcity culture and scarcity mindset and how it builds, when it goes unchecked in us, shame and fear of showing up and being vulnerable in life. And it can keep us from stepping into the arena in the ways that we need to the most in order to really live a deep, meaningful life and experience the connection and belonging that we all need as much as water and air. So, we're going to shine a light on scarcity today and how we can combat it with a helpful concept by the psychological researcher Brené Brown. So, Brené Brown has spent decades researching psychological concepts related to connection and belonging and all of the things that keep us from experiencing connection and belonging. First and foremost of those things is shame. And she wrote a book called Daring Greatly, which I'm going to discuss with you today. And she opens up that book with a really powerful metaphor about vulnerability that she uses to illustrate what vulnerability is and what it kind of looks like in our lives. So I want to read that quote to you today. It's a quote by Theodore Roosevelt. "It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly." So stepping into the arena is a powerful metaphor for showing up in our lives with vulnerability, which is the courage to show up in our lives as our real, wholehearted, vulnerable selves, knowing that there is a real chance of failing, of falling, of being hurt, and still having the courage to show up in the ways that we need to most anyways, in the face of all of that. Because those situations and choices are the arenas where real life happens, where the best, most life-affirming emotions and connections available to us in this life become reality if we choose to show up as our full, wholehearted selves, or denied if we're too afraid to step into the arena of vulnerability in the first place. From the book. When we spend our lives waiting until we're perfect or bulletproof to walk into the arena, we ultimately sacrifice relationships and opportunities that may not be recoverable. We squander our precious time, and we turn our backs on our gifts, those unique contributions that only we can make. So the cost of giving in to the feelings of fear and shying away from vulnerability in the moments that we need to show up the most are very real and palpable. So right in the beginning of the book, chapter 1, I feel like she highlights one of the most important concepts in this whole book, and that is where so many of our feelings of shame, which keeps us in fear from showing up and being vulnerable, are rooted in. And that reality of where shame is rooted in so many of us belongs to the scarcity mindset that we hold, and it's because of the scarcity culture that we all live in. Our scarcity culture instills deeply held beliefs in us about not being blank enough, and you can insert whatever adjective it is that keeps you awake at night, whether it's not being rich enough, not being well known enough, not being smart enough, not being skinny enough, not being successful enough. These are all adjectives that you can input from the scarcity culture and the messaging that we get around us pretty much constantly from the time that we wake up to the time that we go to bed. And we need to talk about scarcity mindset today because I know that I'm not alone in having these beliefs. We live in a culture that champions scarcity not having enough, to the point where it is very, very difficult to feel like you do have enough. And further, even more difficult to feel like you yourself are enough. The challenging part about that is that it's very difficult to engage in the world and with our lives and the people that we care about from a place of vulnerability when we are living in those beliefs that we are not enough. When you are living with a tremendous amount of fear and shame about not being enough, not having achieved enough, all of the things that are constantly being fed to us by the capitalistic society that we live in, that advances its own commercial interests by deeply instilling those beliefs of not being enough in every single one of us. It takes a tremendous amount of resilience to wake up every day and know that you are enough, that you're worthy of connection and belonging, that we all deserve and we all need. We live in a world where being normal simply isn't good enough. We all feel like we need to do more, we need to achieve more, we need to be more, to even be worthy of the things that each of us needs as much as we need water and air, the feelings of connection and belonging. The greatest casualties of a scarcity culture are our willingness to own our own vulnerabilities and our ability to engage with the world from a place of worthiness. As Brené Brown concludes in her powerful TED Talk, the only difference between people who struggle to feel connection and belonging and who experience it daily with ease is the simple belief that they are worthy of connection and belonging. Her ultimate prescription against scarcity culture is developing shame resiliency. It's developing the ability in the face of all of this messaging that we get from the society that we live in, to be more, to do more, to achieve more, to deeply know that we are enough, that we are good enough, what we're doing is enough, the life that we're living and the person that we are today is enough. That is the root of true shame resiliency. And that's how we build a life where we can show up as our full, wholehearted self, because we're fighting those feelings of shame. We're not letting them take root in our life and develop into fear and ultimately isolation and lack of connection, because we're afraid of owning our own vulnerabilities and showing up as our true selves. We have to believe that we're enough in order to show up as our true selves and show that to the world and to other people. Shame resilience is constantly building ourselves up, instead of letting the society that we live in tear us down and tear our feelings of being worthy and good enough down. Developing shame resiliency in our culture of never enough has never been as important as it is today in the celebrity worshiping, social media centric world that doesn't spare any of us. We have to learn how to spare ourselves from paying the ultimate cost, retreating from the arena of vulnerability out of fear. The key to living a wholehearted life is to be brave enough to step into that arena where we very well may fall short and still believe we are good enough. Because what's at stake are the most meaningful moments of our lives. The deepest feelings of connection and belonging available to us are on the other side of us choosing courageously to step into the arena, to be vulnerable, and to be our wholehearted selves. Being able to connect with the people that you care about, not afraid of not being good enough, because you know deep down that you are enough, that you always are enough. These are the feelings that make life worth it. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Know that you are enough. Don't let shame and scarcity culture keep you small, keep your life small, and keep your feelings small. You are enough.